I'm Julie Bartke with this Senate update. The Senate Finance Committee became an emotional one on Tuesday. A bill to allow Honor Remember flags to be flown on public buildings brought several veterans and their supporters to that committee, resulting in some teary testimony at times.
Senate File 362 comes before you as a request from those individual families throughout the state of Minnesota and across the nation, asking for a flag called the Honor and Remember flag to be able to be flown on public buildings if so desired by the administrator or by the individual building itself, to recognize the sacrifice that was given by their family, the loved one that died, either female or male. And the flag is shown to my left, probably your right, shows and is designated in the language how the flag is to be laid out and how it was made. And I have with me Jerry Kaiser and Ralph Donay to testify on behalf of the Honor and Remember flag.
Thank you, Senator Anderson. Would you like Mr. Kaiser to go first?
Please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jerry Kaiser. I'm a combat disabled Vietnam veteran, and I'm here representing all the men and women who've passed away and been KIA. I'm going to pass out some photos of the Honor and Remember flag. I'm personally involved with one of them. My son-in-law is a Marine F-18 fighter pilot, and one of the men in his squadron, Major Reed Nannon, was killed March of last year, and that the Marine Corps marathon, I purchased a Minnesota Vietnam Veterans Charity. I'm the chairman of that organization and the vice chairman of the United Veterans Legislative Council. We purchased that flag to be given to that family during the marathon. The Honor Remember flag is a closure flag. It's not to misrepresent the Stars and Stripes. It's given to the family members. During that particular marathon, there's 27,000 people there on that marathon, and my daughter brought forth that flag to be presented to the widow. There, in that picture, you'll see a flag with all these folks around it. Every one of those males are F-18 fighter pilots in Nannon's squadron, and they came from around the country for that particular event. The father of that, Mr. Nannon, was able to get the flag. The widow gets the gold American flag, the Stars and Stripes on that coffin. But the family members, they don't get anything other than the memories. And this particular flag, in this instance, was complete closure to that family. As a matter of fact, the wife gave that flag to Mr. Nannon's father, and he clutched that like you've never believed it. It was a closure for him. He was able to fly that flag on his post every day. And the wife also had her American flag, and it's seen as a way to close this. In the state of Minnesota, all of the Gold Star families have one, plus another 100 plus of those who passed away or been KIA and other conflicts, and it's a way for us to honor them in addition to that American flag on that coffin. It's important for the closure of these families. Every single one of those Gold Star families backs this, and I think it's appropriate for you and this organization to do the same.
Any questions of Mr. Geiser? Senator Laurie.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Geiser, thank you for bringing this forward. Senator Anderson, thank you for bringing this forward. I'm having a little bit of an emotional remembrance myself. It was 10 years ago this month that my brother was shot down in Iraq, and his widow took on his goal of 50 marathons by the time he was 50. And a year and a half ago, I went out and ran the Marine Corps marathon with her. It was her 50th in his remembrance, and it just really, having a symbol like that. I saw several of these flags, and the Marine Corps Marathon is an incredibly moving event, and so your story built around that really moved me. I had a brother and childhood friends come and run that marathon with us as well. You know, there were remembrances all along. It made it, for not our very best times posted, working our way through the emotion and the remembrance, but it is incredibly meaningful to families. And I thank the entire Marine Corps for putting that on. I mean, it was just, everybody there was so supportive, and these type of remembrances just really do mean a lot to families. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, Senator Laurie, for sharing your personal story. Any other questions for the testifier before we go into Mr. Donis? Am I pronouncing your last name right, sir?
Close enough, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
It's a French name, so everybody messes it up. It's
well,
Donet.
Okay, well, great. Say your entire name for the record and then go forward with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Ralph Donet. I'm the chairman of the United Veterans Legislative Council of Minnesota. We bring together 30 veterans organizations, including Gold Star Mothers, to help represent veterans throughout the state. I would also like to point out to you that there's over 2 dozen nationally certified veterans organizations that support this issue also. Having been medevaced out of Vietnam with body bags in the plane with me, I wish that we would have had something like this back then. I'm a 30-year retired Marine, and I've seen too many of our veterans that came back that never got to fulfill their dreams with their families. And this is another way that we can give honor to those families for the sacrifice that their son or daughter has made. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Any other questions for the testifier? Okay, I think we have Mr. Mike LaBelle.
Yeah, I'm Mike LaBelle. I'm the Director of Honor and Remember of Minnesota.
Go ahead.
Just here in the state of Minnesota, we have presented 200 flags to families here in Minnesota. We did some in Wisconsin and Michigan. It never gets easy. This is not a flag just for the Gold Star families. It's for every citizen across the United States. We have the POW MIA flag. The reason for that was remembrance. Never forget these men and women. There's never been a symbol here in the United States that recognizes the ultimate sacrifice. George Lutz lost his son in the Battle of Fallujah in 2005. He noticed at the funeral the American flag and the POW flag and felt there was something missing. He went on a quest, talked to legislatures, other Gold Star families, that they needed a symbol. And they just told him, go for it. It took him over a year to design this flag. And in your brochures, the meaning of each symbol is in there. He didn't forget anything. Nothing at all. I met George in Ogden, Utah, when the Patriot Guard had their national convention out there. And when I got there, he was starting his quest. And when we got to the fairgrounds where the whole main event was at, there was vendors all over that parking lot. And off to the side, I noticed a guy all by himself. He had 3 cardboard tables and some boxes, and that was about it. And he just caught me, and I had to find out what was going on there. Well, when I met him, he told me his story. He got me right there. I'm a Vietnam combat vet, and I lost a lot of my friends. Told me the story, and right then and there was 6 of us. We bought 2 flags. One for a family in New Ulm, and another in Ladysmith, Wisconsin. There was one funeral I was at I couldn't forget, so my wife and I bought a flag for that family. And lo and behold, there was another Gold Star family there to see this happen. Well, it started to snowball, and we're ordering these flags. Well, George called me and asked me if I would start a chapter here in Minnesota. We've given out flags for World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I wished I could bring our CD to put some of our presentations to see how these families react to this flag. It is unbelievable. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of stuff here because this could go on for quite a while, and I know you're busy. Annan Flag Company, there was some organizations that said, why do we need this trademark? We have good lawyers and representatives and board members. They remember what happened to the POW/MIA flag. Now, that took 18 and a half years to get adopted nationally. They did not have a trademark. And what happened, these flags are made all over the world, including China and Vietnam, and they can be altered. To me, the Vietnam part was a slap in my face. I remember gave up all rights to the trademark to Annan Flag Company and any other flag company here in the United States. These have to be made in the United States, protected under that trademark. In there's a letter written by the president of Annan Flag Company and the reason for that trademark. We got the award last year in 2014 to be the #1 501c3 charity in the United States. 92% of all money raised goes to these flags and the families. You can't find anything better than that. In closing, I just want to tell you a small story. A few years ago, the Northeast Minneapolis Lions Club wanted to sponsor a flag for a Vietnam vet in Northeast Minneapolis. The mother was 89 years old. The brother and sister of the fallen soldier, Marlon Trexel, was killed in 1967. Oh, they got their mother there for this presentation. She had no idea what was going on. But when we got up to talk, showed her that flag, it was unbelievable. And the first thing she said to me when she came up was, I didn't think anybody would remember. I have talked to over 200 families. They have 2 big worries. That they died in vain and they'll be forgotten. That's their biggest fear. Not only does this flag represent them, but if this is flown and people see it like they see the POW/MIA flag, they're going to remember. Oh, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your service. Any other questions for Mr. LaBelle? Senator Westrom.
Well, Mr. Chair, I don't really have a question, but I just feel the urge to thank all of the testifiers and for your service and for what you do for the families that have lost the ultimate sacrifice. And so, Senator Anderson, thank you for bringing this bill forward. But to the testifiers, it's because of your efforts that these families and their loved ones won't be forgotten. And I just want to tell you a heartfelt thank you. And Senator Laurie, I appreciate hearing your story, as hard as it was to even say. And so I think that just is good to say today. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Weston. We have one more testifier, but before that, Senator Dibble.
There's one more thing I'd like to say is we have 28 states on board so far. 20 more are going through sessions right now, all over the United States. Iowa, we're working on Iowa, Wisconsin, South Dakota. They've all adopted a flag, and it looks like North Dakota will too. So.
All right, thank you. Mr. McIndads?
Yes, very good, thank you.
And if you was, you know.
My name is Ron McAdance. I'm from Candy, Ohio, Minnesota. I say this not to boast, but just to let you know who I am and where I'm at. I'm a twice wounded combat veteran from Vietnam. A few years ago, they presented me with the Silver Star, which humbles me greatly. I have been involved with Mike and Pat LaBelle and the Honor and Remember program ever since it first came into our state. One of the first flags we were able to present was to the family of my cousin, Lyle McAdance, who to this day remains missing in action in Vietnam. I think, like everybody else has said, the reaction of the family to receive this is just totally awesome. These flags mean so much, and I've been honored to be able to present flags to families in Minnesota, Arizona, South Dakota, and it just really makes you feel like you're doing something worthwhile, and you know you are when you see these families' reactions. And I know we're brief, so I'm going to cut it off with that. Thank you very much for your support of this bill. We look forward to its passage. Thank you.
And thank you for your service. We sincerely appreciate it. Senator Dibble?
I was just going to, thank you, Mr. Chair, just echo the sentiments of Senator Westrom. I come from a military family myself, dad in the service, most of my relatives in the service, as well as the other side of my family, my spouse's dad and other members. So we have a long military tradition, and I grew up in the military, and I really appreciate this effort and everything that's being done on behalf of the families and the individuals who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's nothing else, is there anything else, Senator Anderson?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity for the testifiers to come forward and to give their testimony of the reason for the flag, and the Gold Star mothers I've had in other committees couldn't be here today, but those families that would show up and testify on behalf, just as some of you have already mentioned.